Ladies and gentlemen, we're here.
I'm part of the Kliq, isn't everybody?
Yes! 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 I got an idea, yeah. Beat up John Cena!
Give me a hell yeah!
Oh, a little bit of the bubbly.
Too sweet! This is where the power lies!
I am the man.
Beat me if you can! Come on!
It's showtime, folks!
The following episode is scheduled for one fall, and it is for your listening pleasure. This is In The Kliq.
What's up, everybody? Baby Huey here, and joining me once again is my good brother from the Bullet Cast. It's Philip. How's it going, man?
Huey, it's Monday night. I wish I could call myself Mr. Monday Night, but that belongs to the Hall of Famer Rob Van Dam. The California Classic, the Microphone Messiah, the greatest sports recreational podcaster in the world today, future podcast Hall of Famer, is doing all right. What about yourself, man?
I'm doing awesome, dude. Here we are, WrestleMania week. I'm super excited. You and I record on a Monday. We'll get into that, specifically why in 1 second. But I just saw your face a couple of days ago. We recorded a couple nights. So literally, I've done a bunch of episodes already on the build up on the road to WrestleMania. But here we are. WrestleMania week. You and I are recording on a Monday. Special reason. We're going to talk Monday Night Raw tonight because let's be honest, it's going to be a busy week. It is WrestleMania week. There's so many events and shows to watch and recap and review. So I figure as best as we can, we will watch everything and record individual episodes of this podcast for recapping all those events and whatnot. So much to talk about. But yeah, I'm just like I said, I'm excited. Like it really hit me today at work. It's like it's WrestleMania week. Like here we are. Now, granted, myself and, you know, the majority of people I know who cover wrestling, they're all staying home. I know some people are traveling to Florida to watch WrestleMania in person, but I'm a little bit bummed. Like, I wish I can be out there, but, you know, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. So I figure, you know, play it safe, just stay home, watch it on my TV, watch it on Peacock, and then you and I can jump on a computer, record our reviews right after. And yeah, we'll do it this way. Hopefully save our money and our time for next year for Texas.
Oh, man. I mean, you know, a couple things. So yesterday the network died.
Yeah.
I was lucky. I still had mine past midnight. I was like, oh, wait, what's happening? What's happening? I still had mine past midnight. Then I woke up at early this morning to go to work. I was like, I'll throw on something, and then it was gone.
Yeah, so I last week I tried bringing up the WWE Network on my Roku and had me signed out, and I was like, huh. I'm like, am I locked out already? And then I checked out a couple days ago. I went to the WWE Network on my computer through the browser, and I was able to get in there. I was like, okay, cool. But then yesterday, I was like, let me just double check on my phone. And I went to the WWE app, clicked on WWE Network, and there's not even an option to sign in. It just says, please watch it through Peacock. And it was the same image that you posted on the Bullet Cast Instagram. Literally, that same image happened to me where it said, if you want to watch WWE Network, you got to watch it through Peacock. So I'm like, oh, it's officially done. It's gone now. So yeah, good, 7-year run, 2014 to 2021. Man, I'm really bummed. I got to be honest here.
It hurts. It really does, man. I mean, that was yesterday. Here we are, April 5th. You, Walter, have been the UK champion for 2 years.
Yes.
You should be excited. But, I mean, the great thing about April 5th, 12 years ago, the greatest wrestling match of all time happened. WrestleMania 25.
Yeah.
Take or Sean, brother. Houston, Texas. 77,000 in attendance. They watched. Yeah, that was the first one. They
first
watched.
one.
They watched something special, man.
And that was the beginning of a good 4-year run for Undertaker between his matches with Michaels and Triple H. So
yeah, man, that match from 28, the end of an era. That's probably the greatest kick out of all time. Super kick pedigree.
Yeah,
I thought it was over. Heart skipped a couple beats. You know what? I think I was clinically dead.
I should. Oh man, maybe. Oh, God, it's so busy. Which I'll get into the whole schedule of WrestleMania week in case you've been living under a rock and don't know. But yeah, I'm with you. There's. If I had more time this week, I would love to rewatch some of those like iconic matches. Maybe.
That's what I do to get Mania ready.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like rewatching some stuff. Maybe later on this week, maybe Friday night, I'll try to watch that. Maybe do that. I was thinking maybe you and I, we can do maybe a SmackDown review. Maybe we can also touch on some of our favorite moments as well. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just brainstorming on the fly right now. So
I'll be available. Let's do it.
Okay. So, but yeah, it is WrestleMania week. It's interesting though, because like I said earlier, the majority of fans are watching from home still, obviously with the pandemic. For me personally, I was actually tempted thinking about, maybe I should go to Tampa. But then I was like, the pandemic, I don't want to risk it. And then, do I have to quarantine, all that stuff? And it's just too much of a hassle. And I'm actually getting my second vaccine shot this Saturday. So, I'll get my second dose of the super soldier serum and then, watch WrestleMania night 1 later on that night.
2-dose Huey. 2-dose Huey.
2-dose Huey. So yeah, it's going to be second year in a row of watching WrestleMania on TV. I've been a little spoiled the last couple years prior between, watching in Santa Clara 6 years ago and then New Orleans a couple years ago and, 3 years ago, New York a couple years ago. So it's, I miss it. I miss that vibe of just being in a setting with so many fellow wrestling fans, WWE fans. So, hopefully next year, maybe, next year we'll try to plan for Dallas, Texas. That's my goal.
Yeah, man. Like I've never been to a Mania. That's on the bucket list. I need a Mania, but I've been, if you know me, I'm not a fan of people. Like in general, I don't like people. Like it's nothing towards people, like personally, just generally not a fan of people, not a fan of large groups. I don't even go to Costco. Because there's so many people. But I can sit in an arena with 20,000 wrestling fans and go absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, dude. It's what's even cool. So 3 years ago when WrestleMania was in New Orleans, and my brother Jimbo and I, we, which by the way, I'm gonna still call him Jimbo. I saw on his Instagram stories earlier today. He's like, he doesn't go by Jimbo anymore. He goes by James Kincaid. I saw that. He's like professionally going by his real name. I'm still calling him Jimbo no matter what.
Yeah, man. That's like a homie who played Stifler. That's like being like, please don't call me that anymore. Like, dude, you're Stifler for life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So, we went to New Orleans, and the great thing about New Orleans is, it's not a super big city. And with that being said, Bourbon Street is like the main downtown road where everyone migrates to, all the tourists and whatnot, out of towners go to party it up. And so the great thing about WrestleMania in New Orleans is all the wrestling fans take over Bourbon Street. Everyone's wearing wrestling shirts, walking around cosplaying as wrestlers, jackets, all fellow gear, championship belts. People are wooing each other, chop blocking each other. It's so much fun. You literally, Philip, you're around your people. Obviously this is before COVID. I mean, if that was to happen today, that'd be a big no-no with the CDC, but no, I miss that vibe. I miss that experience. So hopefully by next year, Dallas, Texas, things will be better and we can plan for that. So, I'm definitely saving money now, get my tax return, just save that, put in my savings and hold on to that for maybe next year. So, yeah, hopefully you and I, we can be recording on site or something in Dallas, Texas. That's the goal. We'll see. Well, fingers crossed. Just got, think big, put it out there in the universe, and then, we'll make it happen. So, but it's also interesting. I've seen some people online kind of say it doesn't feel like WrestleMania week to them, or they're not as hyped up. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
After this Raw, I'm not hyped about anything. I mean,
yeah,
come on,
we'll get into that.
Like, I mean, I thought last year you were interested to see because, you know, we'd never seen anything like that before. And, you know, it was the majority of it wasn't bad, you know? Majority of it last year wasn't bad. Now we have fans this year, and it's going to be a different ball game. But, I mean, the build for a lot of it, because it was built in a short amount of time.
Yeah, literally, 3 weeks? A lot of these matches, if that.
And they're relying on the matches to be really good and not really worried about how we got there. Like, Rhea just showed up and got a title shot. Are you kidding me? You're telling me I can just walk onto SmackDown and be like Apollo? I mean, like, Biggie, you're not facing Apollo, you're facing me. Yeah. No, it's really interesting how we got here. Some matches have been in the works for a couple months, going back to Royal Rumble. Some a little bit shorter, but still like maybe within the last 4 or 5 weeks. That's more like Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre, for example. Pretty much after Miz dropped it to Lashley, you kind of knew it was going to be Drew and Bobby at WrestleMania. A couple other matches were planned a little bit longer, but other than that, the majority of these matches were all planned within the last like 3 weeks. So yeah, the build hasn't been as good as we've seen in the past, and so like emotionally, I'm not as invested, but you know, I'm excited still. It's one of my favorite times of the year. It's arguably the biggest time in wrestling in the entire world. It's very much similar. A lot of people compare it to like, you know, the Super Bowl and just the way that vibe is and how everyone gets excited for the big game and all the press and media cover it. And so with that being said, like wrestling here, this is the biggest week in pro wrestling. You know, sorry for anyone who maybe doesn't like WWE, but no offense, this is the biggest week in wrestling, hands down, which is why, like, you and I talked to Tommy and Richard and maybe check with LaRocca. I definitely want to cover every show this week because everyone is going to be watching, everyone's going to be consuming it, everyone's going to want to read reactions, reviews, listen to podcasts. It's a time to capitalize. And if you want your Hall of Fame recap, I'm your guy, because I give a damn. I care about the men and women who laced up a pair of boots, put their bodies on the line, and entertained us.
Absolutely. So I will say this. Let's start WrestleMania week on a good note. Like I said, it is the biggest week of the entire year in pro wrestling, or excuse me, sports entertainment, I should say. But to start off, I'm going to do with the cheers to you, Philip. I got some. Can you hear that? Yeah. I stocked up on some Stone Cold's Broken Skull IPA. I found a bunch at a store near me, so I stocked up. I'm good for the week.
I don't have that, but I have Blue Moon. Will that work?
Yeah, it's fine.
All right.
Do you need some Broken Skull? I can hook you up.
No, I know a spot. I'm not going to say it on air because I want them to be for me.
Exactly. No, like, yeah, you say real talk. Like I have one spot I normally go to get my beer. But they've been sold out. And then there's a second spot I know of. I went over there. They were sold out. I was like, crap. And then I was like, I thought of 1/3 spot. Sure enough, I went there over the weekend and they had it. I bought a bunch of it. And so, yeah, that's for me to know. And, yeah, I will, go back there again if I need more beer, but I think I'm good for this week. So let me, fill up my glass. Oh, I just spilled a little bit on me. Party foul. Okay. Okay, got some on my shorts. Good job on my part. Okay. Cheers, Philip. Are you open? Oh.
Hey, there we go. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. There you go. Yeah. The microphone. Boom.
I know it's not a little bit of the bubbly, but it'll have to do, you know?
Absolutely. So, yeah, WrestleMania week is here. So, let me just break down the schedule for WWE. They literally have made this a whole week of events, which is very exciting in many ways. Let me see here. Okay, let me bring up the schedule. So just to recap. So Monday is Monday Night Raw, obviously, which just happened, and you and I are going to recap and review that real quick. Tuesday night, April 6th, is going to be the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony, and it's going to be both classes, 2020 and 2021. That's going to be streaming live on Peacock. I believe, here we go, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. So for everyone here in the U.S., you can watch it on Peacock. And then Wednesday, April 7th, will be NXT TakeOver Stand Deliver Night 1. That's going to be on USA and also Peacock. It's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And so what's interesting is, out here in the West Coast, technically it would be 8 p.m. Pacific, 3 hours later. But I think we can watch it live on East Coast time through Peacock. So that's what I'm banking on. I mean, I do have, I have Xfinity, and I use the streaming app and use the USA Go channel, and I can watch it on East Coast time. But using Peacock, that's going to be a good backup plan. And then jumping ahead to Thursday, April 8th, 2 events going on. So shout out to NXT UK. They have a big show called Prelude. That's going to be 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UK time, so it'll be noon here in the Bay Area, West Coast. And then that night would be NXT TakeOver Stand Deliver Night 2, streaming exclusively on Peacock, and that's gonna have no commercials. So keep in mind, night 1 of NXT TakeOver, they're gonna have commercials because it's gonna be on USA Network. But Peacock on night 2, it's going to be like a regular takeover, like I think the presentation stuff, just, nonstop action. Looking for that. So 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Friday night is going to be Friday Night SmackDown as usual on Fox. And that's more or less going to be like the kickoff show. It's what they call it, SmackDown WrestleMania, WrestleMania SmackDown edition.
SmackDown WrestleMania style. That's the super pre-show.
Yeah, so literally all the matches happening there are going to be matches that would be done normally on the kickoff show of WrestleMania. So it's going to be the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. It's going to be, I think, Daniel Bryan, Edge, or Roman are going to make an appearance. Fatal 4-Way for the SmackDown tag titles.
That must be something. We have 2 nights for WrestleMania, and you still can't get on the card.
I know. I'm a little bit bummed for everyone.
Everybody gets on the card now. Like, what? Hey, sidebar, can we go back to the days where, we only had like 8 matches, and you had to earn being on WrestleMania?
I'm with you.
I remember hearing about Carlito being pissed on message boards because he wasn't on WrestleMania. you know what I mean? Like, it's an honor.
And then let's see, obviously jumping ahead to this Saturday, April 10th, WrestleMania Night 1 on Peacock. Sunday, Night 2 WrestleMania. That's going to be also on Peacock. Both of those start 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Kickoff show will probably be an hour beforehand. Oh, wow. It's 5 p.m. Pacific both nights?
Oh, so they're going an hour back?
Yeah, like old school. It used to be 4 p.m. Huh.
Yeah, I remember.
That's what it says here on the official WWE graphic. I'll double check online, but
that might be it.
And then Monday, April 12th, will be Monday Night Raw. It'll be the Raw after Mania. That's always a big show as far as, who gets called up potentially from NXT, any surprise returns, all that. And then Tuesday, April 13th, will be the first episode of NXT on Tuesday nights on the USA Network. So, as you can see, very busy week in WWE. They've taken over the whole thing. I don't know if I have time for AEW.
That's just WWE. AEW on Dynamite on Wednesday, their house show on Friday, NWA Power, you have Ring of Honor Television, you have Impact on Thursdays, you have WrestleCon that's going to be out there, and all the independent wrestling shows that are going to be going on WrestleMania weekend. Our Alpha Zoe, one half of the world's freshest tag team from out here, he's going to be wrestling at the Collective for GCW.
Oh, awesome.
In Tampa, so shout out to him, man.
Oh, that's going to be in Tampa?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that's really good for him. Congrats. I mean, AEW, they got Dark Elevation, regular Dark, Dynamite, as you said. Impact will make its Thursday debut on Access TV this Thursday. So I'm like, I don't know.
New Japan Strong on Friday.
Yeah, New Japan Strong. I mean, New Japan had the big show this past weekend. Will Ospreay is the new IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. He defeated Will Ospreay.
Who? I don't compute. I only pay attention to wrestlers that are good. I'm sorry.
Oh, wow. Hot take from Philip here. So, I'm trying to think what else is there to mention. Yeah, NWA Power on Tuesday. So it's a stacked show of pro wrestling this week. So much going on, and we're going to try to cover as much as we can. So please remember, subscribe to In The Kliq on your favorite podcast platform. Also, subscribe to YouTube. Yesterday I began the process of converting some recent episodes into movie form, and I'll be uploading those on YouTube over the next couple of days. So if you miss a recent episode, you can catch it on YouTube, and then all of our WrestleMania coverage will also be on YouTube. So I'm playing catch up. That's why tomorrow I'm going to do my best to watch the Hall of Fame ceremony and edit videos or make videos versions of our recent episodes. So I'm going to do both, multitasking. So I figure let's knock out Raw tonight, and then tomorrow will be my night off.
Do we know what time the Hall of Fame comes on?
I believe it's at 5 p.m. our time, West Coast.
Oh.
5 p.m. Pacific. Are you going to be able to watch it live?
I'll probably just watch it while I'm at work.
There you go. Good job. So, but yeah, no, I'm excited. Like I said, I'm super amped up, and, like I said, I really want to cover as much as we can this week, just because, like I said, every wrestling fan is watching this week. I bet you there's a lot of people who maybe hate on WWE, but I bet you secretly are going to watch everything this week. They just won't post about it on social media.
They're all like, oh, they buried my favorite. I'm going to stop watching. I'm going to cancel my network. And then here we are. And there they are the next night, bitching about Raw, complaining about like a throwaway pay-per-view like Fastlane or Payback or Pay Backlash, whatever you call it. And I'm like, I thought you were going to stop watching.
Yeah.
No. Like I have a friend like that. He'll be like, "Oh, I'm done with WWE," and then he'll talk to me. I'm like, "Hey, I thought you were done. So you're done? No, I don't want to hear it. Be a man of your word."
Yeah. So let's go ahead and jump into the go home show for WrestleMania on Monday Night Raw.
It was rough.
It was rough.
And I'm not talking about Leon rough, but this was rough.
Yeah, it was a lot of like video packages, promos. I don't know. It felt like a go home show to Pay Backlash. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think this was actually recorded last Tuesday. From the reports are saying, yeah. So, because I don't know if you know, they had to be out Tropicana Field, home of the home of the Rays in Tampa, Florida.
Oh yeah, they did have to move. Yeah,
because the Tampa Bay Rays had their opening season for baseball this past weekend. So I think WWE had to be out by, I think, April 1st or April 2nd, so Thursday or Friday last week. So I think they did Raw live last Monday, then recorded this episode of Raw on Tuesday. I think they did Hall of Fame on Wednesday, and I think they did SmackDown on Thursday. This episode of SmackDown that we just saw in the next week's episode, and I think they were gone after that. So then Tampa Bay can set up for their baseball games coming up. Baseball season's here now, so it's actually kind of a sweet deal for WWE as far as, listen, with the pandemic, it's a very condensed setup this year. They're not having WWE access with the fans. Like I said, Raw is already taped in the can. TakeOver is going to be, just at the Performance Center. Hall of Fame's already been taped. So, SmackDown's already been taped. So it's like, as far as the weekly shows, other than NXT, everything else is in the can. So a lot of that stuff is already set up and done. So I think for a lot of the WWE employees, it's going to be pretty easy. And just, get ready for WrestleMania next weekend. So, looking forward to it. And, so yeah, this Raw, I was trying to find some good. I mean, it was tough. I think for a lot of people, we still feel very upset and brokenhearted over the breakup of the Hurt Business last week, or at least Cedric and Shelton kicked out of the group.
Yeah, the MVP said they're not broken up; they just downsized
for right now. Yeah, so very much like MVP is like the Paul Heyman, Bobby Lashley is like Brock Lesnar. So. We'll get into more of that segment as well, what we saw on this episode. But yeah, I think a lot of people are still very hurt by that, and kind of what you and I already talked about a couple episodes ago. I think Vince McMahon's decision to break up the Hurt Business is just to add more heat to Bobby Lashley and make the fans hate him more, so that way he'll guarantee get boos at WrestleMania and Drew McIntyre will get the cheers.
How can you hate that entrance, though? I mean,
know.
Come on.
It's badass.
The custom lower third. Mm-hmm. He's not just the WWE champion. He's the almighty WWE champion. I mean,
and that's why, and that's the thing. I was like, I'm worried like fans will maybe turn on Drew McIntyre just because he's the innocent bystander in all this creative decision. And it's like, well, no, he's just doing his job. Don't be mad at him. like the Hurt Business is broken up and Vince is trying to get Bobby Lashley more heat on him. I'm also worried about just Cedric and Shelton, where they go from here. Are they going to be not on TV as much after this week? They were just added to the group to kind of set up Bobby Lashley's dominance. And once he became champion, they're like, okay, we don't need these two guys anymore. So I'm just really concerned about the future of everyone involved in the Hurt Business and what's going to happen to them next. So we'll get into that more as what we saw on tonight's Raw. So Raw started off with, Drew McIntyre coming out to the ring, and, he just cut a really good promo, just explaining, his match with Bobby Lashley, just more of a preview for WrestleMania. And just, he kind of said a lot of the similar things we've heard him say many times over the course of the last year, as far as, he struggled, he had to leave WWE, he's come back, and he's champion once again. And, we saw the clip of Corbin attacking him last week, and, he was, I enjoyed this part. He was getting a little choked up talking about conversations he had with his mom over the years about his career and the sacrifices he had to make. And that while she was sick, she told him, keep going for your dreams, keep pursuing wrestling. I really enjoyed that. That was something new. We haven't seen him really talk about publicly. I think that was on his episode of 24 last year that showed that. But then Bobby Lashley interrupted him, and he also kind of said, well, listen, hey, you talk about your struggles leaving WWE and coming back. He's had a very similar story as far as what took him, 16 years to become champion. So Lashley called McIntyre a great champion, but said his time's over. And McIntyre tried to provoke a fight with MVP. But MVP told him you have to wait. And then Corbin joined the party and said he's going to beat McIntyre later on tonight and take his spot at WrestleMania. So what'd you think of this opening promo here between everyone involved?
It was cool, man. It was decent. I mean, I like how we got a more vulnerable side to Drew McIntyre, because I listened to Sam Roberts, and he recapped last week's show, and he said, Drew going in the locker room and challenging guys like that, like Drew kind of came off like an a-hole. Like, come on, you have this opportunity, beat me, and he challenged a whole bunch of scrawny guys. I mean, let's be real. Drew's a big, massive, meaty boy,
Yeah.
Like Ricochet, he's cut, but he's skinny. What's he gonna do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think this was a nice turnaround, and Lashley, the mic skills have gotten so much better. Even I thought TNA was going to be the best he was going to do on the mic. It's a little better than TNA.
Last week, I thought Lashley was kind of fumbling over some of his words. This week, he was a little bit better, a little more aggressive, and it came out much more clear. So I was happy for him. And then MVP jumped in, though, at the right time and kind of finished the whole promo as a whole. And so that's where MVP is really an MVP in this whole situation. Just help keeping Bobby Lashley look tough on the microphone. Next up, we saw Xavier Woods take on AJ Styles. It's another match just killing time until ultimately the Raw tag titles are defended at WrestleMania between the New Day and Omos and AJ Styles here. So it was a rematch from last week when Styles took on Xavier Woods. Omos and Kingston were out there once again, supporting their guys. AJ Styles got in some good punches, a hip toss. Styles also locked Woods in the calf crusher. But something that kind of really annoyed me was Kofi Kingston went over, tried to distract Omos, and he grabbed a microphone and just threw it down at the ground, like right by his feet. And I was like, what the hell? What's going on here? Ultimately, AJ Styles looked over and was like, hey, what's going on? And then Xavier Woods rolled him up for the pin. And so New Day celebrated, looking tall here. It was just kind of annoying that, we get this rematch. And once again, AJ Styles looks like an idiot. It's like, oh, he sees his 7'3" tag partner get distracted by a microphone being thrown at his feet. I thought that was just such a weak scenario. And it's like, AJ, focus on the match. Your guy is twice the size of Kofi. He can take care of himself. And instead he gets rolled up here.
It's funny. They have Strowman acting stupid. I think they just think big people are stupid.
In general, yes. Except for Walter. Walter's still badass.
Yes, you are, Huey. You're badass.
Thank you. But no, but it was just annoying. It's like, that's how this match is going to end, by another distraction on the outside, which is, it's just ridiculous. And it just didn't really add any more, feud, any more, fuel to the fire for this matchup here. It was just, I think what's going to happen, it's pretty obvious. I think AJ and Omos are going to win here because New Day stood tall at the end of this matchup. It's like I said, it just didn't really get me more excited for their matchup at WrestleMania. I do want to see Omos and how he's going to perform. It's probably most exciting part of this. Next up, we saw Braun Strowman in a handicap match taking on Elias and Jackson Riker, who are now pretty much, I guess you could say, the henchmen for Shane McMahon. Is that Philip? Is that the right way to label them now? They're like his goons.
Yeah, I mean, Elias has done stuff with Shane before when Drew was with him. It was like Elias would do the SmackDown stuff and Drew would do the Raw stuff. Shane was going between both. Yeah. I think Elias is a little better than that. I'd actually like to, oh God, he'd make a great Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah.
So, something like that. I mean, yeah, like kind of like Honky Tonk Man, but better in the ring. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm just kind of upset. I want more for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of guys you could say that about in that whole mid-card scene. But Braun Strowman came out beforehand and cut a really good promo just talking about, everything that's going on with Shane McMahon and how Braun wants to go and beat up Shane McMahon, but also, do it represent the people who who I guess more or less get bullied every day, and you see everyone out there. He wants to be like a positive role model, and give back, and that way people who feel are getting bullied, that they can step back, or what's the word, Philip? It's so Strowman cut a passion promo inside the steel cage, and how he says he wants to be a positive representative to stand up against bullies, more or less.
Yeah, this is kind of, what? Remember when you were actually there for it? Nia versus Alexa
Bliss, yeah,
for the title. Yeah, this was kind of the same thing. Alexa was fat shaming and bullying Nia, and the person that was being bullied beat the bully and walked out victorious. So I guess that's what they're going to do here. But I mean, I guess it can work. Spoiled rich boy being an asshole to just for the sake of it.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I saw some people online criticizing this segment, saying it's hard to believe Braun Strowman, who's 6'8", 300-something pounds, is being bullied by Shane McMahon. And it's like, listen, just because you're a big person, doesn't matter height, size, weight, everything. Bullies come in all different shapes and sizes. And I think that's more or less what the message here is. As you said, Shane McMahon's kind of the rich, spoiled brat, and he's talks in a very condescending attitude towards Braun Strowman during this whole time. And so, regardless of Braun's height and muscles, you can still get bullied by someone else a lot smaller than you. And so I think that's kind of the message they're trying to set up here.
I mean, for me, really, this whole story just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it very much is. It's almost like they realize, that old saying, brain versus brawn. Like, literally, someone probably said, brain versus brawn. Let's use that as the motivation of this matchup. We have a guy named Braun Strowman. He's a big, muscular guy. Okay, who could be the brain of this rivalry? Oh, let's get Shane McMahon involved and try and just outsmart him, call him stupid.
If one of these writers that just graduated from NYU did something like that, I will punch them in the face. That is stupid.
I know.
That is stupid.
So, the match started. Strowman took control of the match here, threw Riker out of the ring and then going after Elias, and then Riker prevented him from hitting a power slam to save Elias. I actually like this. They actually took turns holding the Braun down and jumping off the ropes for an elbow drop. I thought that was kind of cool. They worked together to take out Braun. They stomp on Braun Strowman into the match after hitting a double side suplex. And as I said, they took turns hitting moves off the top rope, but Strowman kicked out. Braun Strowman recovered and hit both of them with power slams for the win. So, I mean, Braun looks strong here in this match. So the fact he stood tall is like, oh, is he going to lose at WrestleMania? Then, wrestle math here. Here's the thing, Philip, and, I know we haven't done predictions yet, but the match, it's a steel cage match, and, it's Braun being labeled as being stupid. People on Twitter are already saying, watch what's going to happen. Braun and Shane are going to be on the top of the ring, or top of the steel cage, and Braun's going to get pissed off and throw Shane off the cage because Shane has to do a big stunt at WrestleMania, but since he throws him out of the cage and Shane's going to land through like a table or something, he's going to touch the ground first, and technically Shane's going to win that way. So technically Shane outsmarted Braun. So I don't know. Do you think that's probably what's going to happen in this matchup here?
That might happen, yeah, because Shane, has he even won since he's been back? I mean, he won the tag titles, yeah, but I think that was it, right?
Yeah. With Miz, yeah. So,
I mean, if you're going to get a win, you might as well do it over Braun Strowman.
Exactly. Next up, we saw Asuka and Rhea Ripley take on Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, who are the current women's champions. This match was a little frustrating to me because, once again, it was all about distractions and people trying to get roll up, and it's, to me, when someone gets distracted and there's a roll up, it always frustrates me because it doesn't add anything special or a new layer to a storyline here. So, Asuka and Baszler had a heated exchange at the beginning of the match. Asuka got the first takedown, and then later on we saw there's tension between Rhea Ripley and Asuka because they are going to be opponents at WrestleMania, but they're tagging here, and so Nia's wants to get tagged, she slaps Asuka, gets the tag in, and they're taking turns slapping the other person, you go in now. So they're trying to create this tension here. Ripley tagged Asuka back in against her will, and watch as she put Jax into an octopus stretch. And then Nia countered to escape, but Asuka hit a knee to the face. Rhea Ripley and Shayna Baszler both got the tag, and thanks to a distraction from Reginald outside, Shayna Baszler took down Rhea Ripley with the chop block. And then after the commercial break, you see Shayna Baszler focusing on Rhea Ripley's leg. Asuka got the hot tag, took out both of them, both opponents, with a series of quick moves, and then Asuka climbed to the top turnbuckle. Rhea Ripley on the outside ran over and shoved her own teammate to the ground, and then threw Asuka back in so Shayna Baszler could hit a running knee for the win. So I just really hated this finish. It was stupid. Just like I said, distractions, Rhea Ripley turning on Asuka. So I guess, is Rhea Ripley going to be the heel of this match now?
Couple things. The finish, well, I mean, the running knee or punt or whatever, I like that because, that's how Baszler knocked out Asuka's tooth. Remember that. So that's, rewarding the loyal viewer. Continuity. Love it. My whole thing is, they kept saying, can Asuka and Rhea coexist? Why do they have to coexist? They're opponents at the biggest stage that the business has to offer for the world championship in their division, and they're in some BS throwaway tag match. Well, you don't have to coexist. I'm actually kind of fine. I'm actually kind of fine with what Rhea did. Normally they do it after the match. You can do it. I guess during the match. I felt like this match didn't need to happen in the first place. You could do something else to create more tension between Asuka and Rhea Ripley before their match at WrestleMania. But I just was kind of annoyed. Have they had a contract signing yet?
Last week, Rhea Ripley slammed Asuka's face into the table. So anyway, I'm just frustrated. This match was kind of stupid because you see the two of them teaming up. They're going to be opponents the following weekend. And then, Rhea Ripley turns on Asuka, and then Rhea Ripley's, talking Asuka and be like, you say I'm not ready, but who's ready now? And you're not ready for Rhea Ripley. And it was just kind of basic trash talking. So I just wasn't really feeling it. I hope they put on a good match, though, which they should at WrestleMania. So I'm looking forward to that. But speaking of the women's tag team division, so later on, we saw Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler cutting a promo backstage or interview, and they're talking about all the opponents that were jumping up at them at SmackDown last week. And sure enough, we saw all of them again. We saw Natty and Tamina. We saw the Riot Squad. We saw Mandy and Dana Brooke, and then we also saw Lana and Naomi. So all of them were getting into it, demanding a title shot. And so it was announced it's going to be a fatal 4-way for the number one contendership for the women tag titles, and that's going to happen on night 1 of WrestleMania, and then the winners will fight Nia and Shayna Baszler on night 2 of WrestleMania. So I thought that was kind of cool, and that's something I speculated on the last episode that was probably going to happen. So now we have 7 matches on both nights, and we'll probably recap that at the very end here. So, all right, cool. Good for them. And then next up, we saw Cedric Alexander take on Bobby Lashley. Earlier in the night, we saw MVP doing an interview, and then Cedric and Shelton Benjamin confront MVP, grabbed him by the shirt, threw him against the wall, and Cedric called him, an old gimp, and how dare you think that we were liable and, we shouldn't be in the hurt business anymore. I kind of enjoyed that promo. What'd you think of Cedric and Shelton confronting MVP earlier in the night?
Excuse me. Oh my God. I really enjoyed it, man. They were like, we got him there. What'd you do that for? Why would you do that to us? And then MVP is like, I did what I had to do to keep my client happy, basically. Yeah. And then, I think Sarah Schreiber goes and interviews him, and he's like, man, I made those fools relevant for the first time in how long?
Yeah,
which is true.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's true. And I think Bobby pops in the frame and was like, what the hell was that?
Yeah. So after they leave, Bobby comes in. So what's going on here? So I thought that was cool. For the match itself, Lashley dominated, and Cedric tried to make a comeback. But when he after they come back from commercial, he was able to shove Lashley into the steps thanks to a distraction from Shelton Benjamin. Cedric hit a pair of suicide dives, and when they got back into the ring, Bobby Lashley countered a DDT attempt, and Shelton pleaded with Lashley to relent as he applied the Hurt Lock for the win. And when he refused to break the hold, Shelton Benjamin came to Cedric's aid, and then Lashley grabbed the gold standard, or excuse me, I should say Shelton Benjamin, and put him in the same hold until he passed out. So he took out both of his former partners in the Hurt Business. So solidifying the Hurt Business is done. Well, at least with those 2 members. So, I guess it makes Bobby Lashley look really strong here, leading to his match with Drew McIntyre. And as spoiler alert for the end of the episode, we didn't see Drew and Bobby have an actual encounter at the end of Raw. So this was the closest I've seen Bobby Lashley book strong here. So wrestle math here, is that a sign that Bobby's going to drop the title at WrestleMania? So I don't know. What'd you think of Bobby's performance?
It was good, man. We looked dominant, which is great. You want to look dominant going into big matches, especially Mania. Matt, look, man, we'll know by the roar of the crowd.
Yeah.
Vince may have to call an audible.
Which
there's no Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yeah.
So Lashley might have to keep it. Bob may have to take it home.
Yeah. Next we saw Riddle take on Mustafa Ali early tonight. What'd you think of Matt Riddle and the New Day's backstage segment where they're talking about all the innuendos for weed and like grinding and rolling it up? I thought it was kind of goofy. Just Matt Riddle is just at this point just more.
He knew not to forget those lines. He knows
they're
that
so
very
natural,
well.
so natural for him to remember. So
bro.
So I thought that was a good match between 2 guys. That for specifically Mustafa Ali, who's been just kind of all over the place the last couple weeks. Retribution's broken up. He's like trying to find himself now, what to do next. Matt Riddle, obviously we know. The thing with Matt Riddle, and I give him credit, outside the ring, he is obviously a comedic act, goofy, stoner attitude. But once he hits the ring, he's very much in serious mode and goes, puts on these banger matches still. So it's almost like Jekyll and Hyde. Like outside the ring, he's goofy, playful, all that stuff. But once he's in the ring, he means business. And so I give him credit there. And Mustafa Ali, very talented guy. I mean, I know a lot of people are upset with the creative decisions of him as of late with Retribution, but it was still a very solid match here. It was good.
Maybe Ali can go be one of Shane's lackeys.
Maybe give him more TV time.
Hey, sidebar: if Mean Street Posse pops up at Mania, I'll pop huge. let me some Pete Gas.
So after we came back from commercial break, we saw Ali in control, but Riddle quickly began to mount some offense, and he hit all of his signature moves. As he prepared to hit his finisher, Ali tried to counter and hit a gut buster for a 2 count, but Matt Riddle recovered and scored the win there. So, and we saw Sheamus outside on commentary. So it just added a little, it was a way of trying to add some more tension between the two of them since they're going to have a match at WrestleMania. I don't know. By the way, what'd you think of the graphic of the birds that fly out when Riddle throws his sandals off his feet now? Is that supposed to be some drug reference, like a drug trip?
That is stupid.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, maybe we should just get high and then we'll have a better evaluation of it. Maybe that's what it's for.
It's for the adults in the WWE universe. So no, Ali and Riddle, I thought they had great, chemistry in the ring. It was a good performance. Sheamus sitting out there though didn't add anything to it. So as far as predictions go, it's gonna be interesting. I kind of lead Sheamus is probably gonna get the belt at WrestleMania. He's been putting on so many great banger matches over the last year, I think, as a good reward for his hard work. I think his time is due for a big win and to make up for the fact, he put Drew McIntyre over, who's helped Drew get back into the main event scene, the title scene.
Absolutely, man. Sheamus, if he wins, will be a 3-time U.S. champion. He's going for the record.
Of what, most U.S. championships?
Possibly.
Oh, okay. Is he,
He held it twice.
Has he ever been IC champion?
No. If he gets
is
that,
he a
he'll be
Grand Slam champion? Yeah.
No, he needs the IC.
He'll probably get that at some point because they've been handing out those Grand Slam titles now for
like it's nothing.
I know it's so many people have won it now.
The guys who have nice gaps in between, I think that's that's fine.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Well, like Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels was the original Grand Slam champion, right?
Yeah, he was.
And then, so like back in the day, it was like a big deal, like, to be a Grand Slam champion. It's like, wow, you won all the titles at the time in WWE. And so now everyone's winning them. Like, it's like almost like they're like, oh, the last thing you've won is an IC title. Okay, we'll give that to you at some point so you could be a Grand Slam champion. Like, they just hand them out to everyone now, I feel like. There's so many of them now.
Yeah, but I'm like, if Sheamus, if he gets it eventually, then, there was a nice gap in between, I mean, you look at, the Shield, they won those a little too quick.
Yeah, all of them. I mean, Dean Ambrose or John Moxley was able to win them all and still leave the company and go win belts elsewhere. Just shows,
yeah, man.
He was able to win them all.
Just giving them out. But I'm down for a Sheamus United States Championship run. I thoroughly enjoyed the last two, and I thought they were pretty solid.
If he does win, he should bring back the USA colors ring gear. Remember he had that for a while? He had the red, white, and blue gear.
Have that.
God, that was 10 years ago, wherever it was. So,
no, it wasn't. It was 7.
Yeah. All right, so before we talk about the main event with Drew McIntyre and King Corbin, we got to talk about Bad Bunny. Once again, was on the show. Him and Damian Priest come rolling up in his $3 million car, which is a Bugatti. Is that how you pronounce it, Philip? Is that the name of the car?
I woke up in a new Bugatti. I forget what song that's from. Yeah, it's a Bugatti. I guess, he can afford it. He's a very successful recording artist.
Yeah.
Look, man, he cut a promo, dude. How long was this?
I tuned out, man. I'm not going to lie. I tuned out.
Hey, dude, I fell asleep.
So I was close. Okay. So
I zoned out, and then he started speaking in Spanish. I was like, huh? Dude, look, the foreigner, they can speak in their language and just put subtitles. They don't even have to be saying what the subtitles are.
Yeah.
Oscar could be yelling nonsense in Japanese. Put subtitles there.
So, we saw Damian Priest and Bad Bunny come rolling up in Bad Bunny's white Bugatti car. They kept saying, it's $3 million, $3 million. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I had no idea. And so they make their way to the ring, and then we see Miz and Morrison sneak backstage with some cans of red paint, and they just start painting all over the car, saying what, hey, hop, bunny ears, and painting all over it. And then Miz was like, my daughter's playing finger paint, and so he started using his fingers and painting his fingerprints all over the car. So they were just in their way of damaging the car that way. And then Bad Bunny comes out later, and he's like, oh my God, he's all upset. And then Miz and Morrison come out and jump him and start beating him up and throw him. And then they run off, and then Damian Priest comes in and says, what happened? So it made for a very interesting segment on the show. Just
when they destroyed it with the paint, it reminded me of when Crime Time and John Cena destroyed JBL's white limo, and they wrote "poopy" on it.
Well, the thing is, this paint, it looked really thin. It didn't look like actual permanent paint. It looked like more like water paint. So
it was probably finger painting paint.
Yeah, so it looked like paint that can easily wash off. So I mean, listen. Sorry, not to break kayfabe, but yeah, they were not going to damage an actual $3 million car. I'm sure that whatever they painted on that car can easily be rinsed off with a hose and some soap and a sponge or something.
Not even that, bro. If you bring a car to a wrestling event backstage or in the arena, it's getting damaged in some capacity. You already know that.
We got some, we've seen Corvettes get cement. We see cars get exploded. Braun's flip cars.
We've seen Brock Lesnar rip doors off of hinges and throw them into the crowd and almost decapitate a guy.
Ronda Rousey kick a door in the Charlotte Flair's head. I mean, right? Remember that a couple years ago?
Hey, that was badass.
That was a good spot. So, it made for a funny segment. And listen, Bad Bunny, say what you want to say. I give him credit. He took that beat down from Miz and Morrison pretty good. I kind of thought he sold it pretty well. They threw him on the car. And I like how Morrison has had some time, wrestling, with Lucha Underground and in Mexico and stuff. I like he's able to throw back some Spanish back at Bad Bunny, talk some ass back. So I kind of enjoy Morrison's role in all this as far as, with, a separate, a second language in this whole thing. So that was pretty cool. Bad Bunny, he sold it well. Like I said, he took that beating. And then ultimately we saw them go to the ring, Damian Priest and Bad Bunny, and they cut the promo. And as you said a second ago, I started dozing off or zoning out, just Bad Bunny. Cause the way he was talking, he was trying to talk serious, but he was so quiet. And I just, like I said, I got distracted easily. I was looking on my phone and I was like, okay, kind of get to the point. Hurry up.
Look, only 3 people can do the serious, quiet talk. Nick Bockwinkel, Jake Roberts, and Chris Jericho.
Exactly.
Let's not. He shouldn't have even talked for that long.
And so ultimately it led to a challenge. And so originally it was going to be The Miz versus Bad Bunny at WrestleMania. And then Bad Bunny said, new challenge, him and Damian Priest versus Miz and Morrison at WrestleMania. So make it a tag team. Miz and Morrison on the jumbo screen accepted the challenge, and then they jumped in their car and left. So now it's officially going to be a tag team. And originally the rumors were that was the plan all along, but apparently Morrison and Damian Priest were both having little minor injuries, so they were questionable if they were going to be able to wrestle at WrestleMania, but now I guess they're cleared. So now it's back on being a tag team, which I think is much better, because if it was just going to be Bad Bunny versus The Miz, I mean, we know Bad Bunny was going to win, but to see Miz, who was a former WWE champion within the last 2 months, lose to Bad Bunny, who's never wrestled before, that's not a good look. So if it was going to be one-on-one, it was not going to be very believable, and Miz was going to have to carry that match. But now it's a tag team. I'm assuming Damian Priest is going to carry the load in that match.
Huey, 3 years ago, did you ever even fathom that you would see a returning John Morrison teaming up with The Miz again, taking on Bad Bunny and Punishment Martinez.
No, I did not.
Like what? No,
I know.
This is absurd.
WWE, they need their celebrities, their celebrity presence at WrestleMania.
Hey, in 4 years, we know who's going in the celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame.
Bad Bunny and Logan Paul together.
Oh, God. It'll make me throw up.
Forget about that at SmackDown as well. So, yeah, that's going to happen at WrestleMania now, which is good. I'm glad to see Damian Priest and Morrison are both okay, going to appear. I'm just happy to see Morrison wrestle at WrestleMania again, get another opportunity to shine. And Damian Priest as well. Hopefully he'll have a cool rock star entrance at WrestleMania. So looking forward to that. So good stuff. All right, let's move on over to the main event. Drew McIntyre taking on King Corbin. There's a follow-up from last week when King Corbin answered Bobby Lashley's, bounty takeout Drew McIntyre. And if you take out Drew and he can't wrestle WrestleMania, you take his spot. And King Corbin came over from SmackDown. So I was thinking about this. I was like, man, Vince McMahon's like, okay, how can I get the ultimate amount of heat on Bobby Lashley that fans boo him? I know. I'm going to get King Corbin, one of the most hated guys in WWE, to come over from SmackDown and make it look like there's somewhat of an alliance there. That should be a sure way for Bobby Lashley to get boos from the audience. Like, I just scratch my head at this. It's just, they worked him into this because Bobby Lashley, as we talked about the other day, he's got the cool, badass heel appeal, while Drew McIntyre has the badass babyface appeal to him. So both guys, I think, are fan favorites, even though they're both babyfaces and heels respectively. So like I said, you break up Bobby Lashley from the Hurt Business, or at least two members get kicked out, and you align himself with King Corbin in the short term. It's like, I feel so bad for Bobby Lashley as far as the way they're booking him and his character work right now. They're making him look so bad. But, hey, the powers that be had their priorities and their vision of who they want to be WWE champions. So I think we should all just appreciate Bobby Lashley's time as WWE champion as much as we can. And, we'll see what happens at WrestleMania. But, what do you think of this main event here?
I mean, it was fine. It was a standard Raw main event. It was nothing special.
Yeah.
Was it MVP hands Corbin the Cane, and then he gets Claymored? I mean, come on.
And that was the thing. So they were wrestling. They had some good time. I think they had at least like 15 minutes. They're going back and forth. Two big hosses going at it. A little bit of a slower paced match. But then MVP ultimately jumped up from commentary and said, Corbin, you don't need to beat him. You need to take him out from WrestleMania if you want his spot. And that's ultimately when MVP handed him his cane. And then Corbin went to go use the cane. Drew ducked, bounced off the ropes, and hit the Claymore on King Corbin and got the win. And ultimately saw Bobby Lashley stand at the top of the ramp, come out, flexing, while Drew McIntyre's in the ring staring him down. So they didn't come into physical contact with one another, which I think is kind of cool. They kept them separated and from a distance. So it really leaves a big question mark in the air of, we're so used to go home math or wrestle math of whoever looks tall on the go home episode before a pay-per-view, they were most likely going to lose. So they both look strong here. Both Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre had strong performances on Raw. They didn't touch each other, so I think that's very strategically done on purpose. That way fans really have no clue who could win this match here. So I'm still leaning towards Drew McIntyre getting back the WWE Championship for a third time. But yeah, we'll see what happens here. But overall though, a lot of moments that like scratching my head and be like, what's going on? That doesn't make sense from just, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Just from a realistic, like just a believable strategies. Like this doesn't make sense of some of these moves people were making, the distractions. So it was just very frustrating. Like I didn't feel like any of these matches added any more spice to their matches, made me more excited for their matchups here. So that's a little heartbreaking.
Yeah, man, they're just banking on the athleticism of all the performers, and the matches will be good. They'll forget about it. That's what they're banking on. I mean, but the real thing to be excited about on Saturday is that Jericho podcast.
Yes. Yeah, is it Sunday? So I think the way they teased it was going to premiere after WrestleMania Night 2, but technically Stone Cold's Broken Skull sessions usually go live like Sunday morning. So I think you'd be able to watch it before WrestleMania. Don't quote me on that, but I just know in the past, whatever date that they're supposed to premiere, you can watch it, like, I think starting at midnight that night, I believe. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to watch that beforehand. So, looking forward to that. A lot of stuff to review on that as well. I'm looking forward to I'm curious how long it's going to be. If it's going to be an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. You know, if it's 2 hours, that should be cool.
He gets 20 minutes. He gets 20 minutes.
It was 2 hours, but they cut it out down to 20 because the rest of the time was all AEW talk. So, no, but anyway, Philip, you know, it's an exciting week, WrestleMania week. You know, I know we're still in this pandemic era, and so we're going to try and enjoy it as best we can. That's the only thing I can encourage all the Kliqsters out there. You know, enjoy it as best you can. Follow us on social media at In The Kliq, where we'll be documenting as much as we can and doing as many podcasts as we can this week, recapping it all. So we appreciate you guys for supporting and following along. All right, that wraps up this episode of Monday Night Raw, the go-home show for WrestleMania. And before we leave tonight, let's go ahead and just run down the card real quick for WrestleMania 37. So, as it says on Wikipedia, Night 1 has Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair for the SmackDown Women's Championship, Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship, Bad Bunny and Damian Priest now versus Miz and Morrison, New Day taking on AJ Styles and Omos for the Raw Tag Team Championships, Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon in a steel cage match, Cesaro versus Seth Rollins, also the Fatal 4-Way, the tag team turmoil match, Dana Brooke, Mandy Rose taking on Lana and Naomi, Natty and Tamina versus the Riot Squad. And then night number 2, we see the triple threat match for the WWE Universal Championship, Roman Reigns taking on Edge and Daniel Bryan, Asuka versus Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's Championship, The Fiend with Alexa Bliss taking on Randy Orton, which we saw earlier tonight. It was just a video package just promoting their history. Big E taking on Apollo Crews in a Nigerian drum fight for the Intercontinental Championship. Also, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn with Logan Paul by his side. And then Riddle taking on Sheamus for the U.S. Championship. And then Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler taking on the winners of the tag team turmoil match for the women's tag team championship. So 7 matches each night, 14 matches total. As you and I talked about a couple episodes ago, it looks like no matches on the kickoff show for night 1 because they want to make it a big deal for the first entrance of WWE superstars walking out in front of a live crowd in over a year in this pandemic era. I don't know if any of the matches on night 2 are going to be added to the kickoff show. So obviously follow us on social media. We'll have updates when that comes out as well. But yeah, looking forward to this. What do you think? 14 matches total for WrestleMania weekend. That's not counting SmackDown WrestleMania or WrestleMania SmackDown episode this week.
It's fine. It's over 2 nights. It's more digestible that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm for it this way.
That's what other people think. Hey man, when WrestleMania is like 7 hours, I love that.
Just make it a marathon.
I think it should be 12. I love it. I love it. Let's do that from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Let's do that.
It's all night long, baby. Ric Flair. Woo!
Bright lights, big cities, late nights, pretty ladies, kissing the girls, even that fat one over there, and making them cry.
And by the way, I think what you posted, the first time since 1988, Triple H, The Undertaker, or Shawn Michaels, one of them not involved or scheduled for this WrestleMania.
Yeah,
over the last since '88.
Since WrestleMania 4. That's crazy, bro.
So neither one of those 3 will not be on this WrestleMania, first time since 1988.
Hunter was supposed to wrestle AJ, but he didn't have time to get ring ready.
Is that what the plan was? I saw people talk about that, and I was like, wait, what's going on? Triple H was going to appear? Or?
Yeah, that was going to be the plan, but, Hunter, he's an executive, and in his older age, it's harder to get in ring shape. So, maybe next year.
Well, I mean, how would that even work? What would have been the storyline with him and AJ just throwing that together?
They would have found a way to get there.
It's fine. Triple H, you're busy with NXT. You got 2 nights of TakeOver to worry about. You got the move to Tuesday nights. I'm more concerned he should be focused on NXT. I'm all for that.
I do want to see that, though, before Hunter hangs him up.
Oh, him and AJ Styles?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
They're in my top 5. I want to see those dudes do it.
So those 3 are not going to be scheduled. I saw also looks like John Cena's not going to be involved. Becky Lynch, no capacity yet. I don't know when's her timetable and if she wants to come back anytime soon. Bayley, Charlotte don't have anything scheduled. So a lot of big names from the last year who are not going to be there this year. Very interesting, but it's fine. You got 14 matches over 2 nights. You got other celebrities. And then keep in mind the night after Mania, I'm sure a lot of big returns are going to happen there. So a lot of stuff to look forward to. All right. On that note, let's start wrapping things up. Philip, where can all the Kliqsters find you online?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find me on the Twitter and the Instagram, Instaham, HeelAntwine. That is Heel Antwine. The Bulletcast on Instagram, The Bulletcast on YouTube, at Bulletcast on Twitter. Complex Conversations, COMPLEXX Conversations on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. This has been fun. I'm excited for WrestleMania, given though the build-up hasn't been great. I'm excited for NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver. It's going to be great. Bulletcast Championships on the line for all 4 nights. I'm looking to walk out, I'm looking to walk out the world champion for a 12th time. Diamonds are forever. So is the microphone Messiah.
And I'm Baby Huey. Follow me on Facebook at Baby Huey Official, Twitter and Instagram at Baby Huey83. Like I said, please follow In The Kliq. Also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at In The Kliq, InTheKliq@gmail.com. Subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. Also YouTube, I will be catching up, posting some new clips up there. So thank you in advance for subscribing. Get the merch by clicking the link in our bio on social media as well. Get some In The Kliq shirts to go along with your TV watching. And looking forward to just covering, like I said, as much WrestleMania news as we can this week. So much fun. I can't wait for it. And on that note, let's go home. And that's the bottom line because Huey said so.